Before the arrival of Europeans, a vibrant mosaic of cultures thrived across the North American continent for centuries. These were not simply scattered tribes, but sophisticated civilizations with their own unique traditions, languages and stories woven into the fabric of their existence. From the Pueblo people of the Southwest, masters of masonry and irrigation, to the Haudenosaunee Confederacy in the Northeast, pioneers of diplomacy and governance, these nations flourished. Theirs is a legacy of resilience, adaptation, and deep spiritual connection to the land. Their stories, often untold, are essential threads in the tapestry of American history. These first Americans were skilled hunters, farmers, and stewards of the land. They developed complex social structures, artistic traditions, and spiritual beliefs that reflected their deep connection to the natural world. Their legacy can be seen in the countless place names across the country, derived from their languages, and in the continued practice of their traditions by their descendants today. Understanding their history is not just about looking back, but about recognizing the enduring presence of Native American cultures in shaping the nation's identity. However, the arrival of Europeans in the late 15th century marked a turning point in their history. What began as tentative encounters soon spiraled into waves of colonization that would forever alter the course of their lives and the destiny of the continent. The clash of cultures, the introduction of new diseases, and the relentless pursuit of land and resources brought about a period of profound upheaval and displacement for these indigenous societies. Their story is not just one of tragedy, but also of resilience in the face of immense challenges. It is a story that deserves to be told and understood, for it is fundamental to understanding the complexities of American history and the legacy of its past. The year 1492 marked a turning point in world history. Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer sailing for the Spanish crown, made landfall in the Caribbean, mistakenly believing he had reached the shores of Asia. This encounter, while monumental, was just the beginning of a wave of European exploration and colonization that would forever change the Americas. Driven by a thirst for gold, spices, and new trade routes, European powers raced to establish their presence in this new world. For Europeans, the Americas represented a land of opportunity, a blank canvas on which they could project their ambitions and reshape the world in their image. They brought with them their languages, religions, and systems of governance, laying the foundation for the societies that would eventually emerge on these shores. However, this pursuit of wealth and empire came at a steep price for the indigenous populations they encountered. The arrival of Europeans brought not only cultural and political upheaval but also deadly diseases, smallpox, measles, and influenza, against which Native Americans had no immunity, ravaged through their communities, decimating populations and weakening their ability to resist European encroachment. This biological devastation, often overlooked, played a significant role in shaping the course of colonization and the power dynamics that emerged between Europeans and Native Americans. The story of European arrival in the Americas is a complex and often contradictory one, a tale of exploration and exploitation, of cultural exchange and violent conquest. It is a story that continues to shape the relationship between the United States and the world today. While European powers were carving out colonies in the Americas, a darker chapter was unfolding across the Atlantic. The transatlantic slave trade, a brutal system of forced migration and chattel slavery, saw millions of Africans torn from their homelands and transported to the New World. This horrific enterprise, driven by the insatiable demand for labor on the burgeoning plantations of the Americas, left an indelible stain on human history. Ships packed tightly with human cargo embarked on the treacherous Middle Passage across the Atlantic. Conditions on board were deplorable, cramped, unsanitary, and often deadly. Men, women, and children were shackled, beaten, and subjected to unimaginable cruelty. Those who survived the journey faced a life of forced labor, stripped of their freedom and dignity. The transatlantic slave trade was not merely an economic system, it was a moral abomination. It fueled the rise of European empires, enriching their coffers while simultaneously dehumanizing an entire people. The legacy of this forced migration continues to reverberate throughout the Americas, shaping racial dynamics, social structures, and the very fabric of societies built on the backs of enslaved Africans. The story of the transatlantic slave trade is not just a chapter in a history book, it is a story that demands to be remembered, reckoned with, and learned from. It is a story that compels us to confront the darkest aspects of our past and to work towards a more just and equitable future for all. Section 4. Declaring Independence. A nation forged in revolution. By the mid-18th century, tensions were simmering in the 13 British colonies that dotted the eastern seaboard of North America. A growing sense of identity, coupled with resentment towards British policies seen as increasingly oppressive, ignited the flames of rebellion. The American Revolution, a tumultuous period of upheaval and transformation, would give birth to a new nation founded on the ideals of liberty, equality, and self-governance. At the heart of this revolution were visionary leaders who dared to challenge the established order. Figures like George Washington, a brilliant military strategist and the nation's first president, Thomas Jefferson, the eloquent wordsmith of the Declaration of Independence, and Benjamin Franklin, a polymath and diplomat who helped secure crucial alliances, became symbols of American resistance and the embodiment of its aspirations for independence. The American Revolution was not a foregone conclusion. The 13 colonies, outmatched and outgunned by the mighty British Empire, faced long odds in their fight for freedom. Yet, fueled by a fervent belief in their cause and bolstered by the support of foreign allies, the Continental Army persevered through years of hardship and sacrifice. The victory at Yorktown in 1781 marked the end of major hostilities and secured American independence. The newly formed United States of America, though fragile and still grappling with the challenges of self-governance, had emerged as a beacon of hope for those yearning for liberty and self-determination around the world. Section 5. Westward-bound expansion, conflict, and the cost of progress. With the ink barely dry on the Constitution, a new chapter unfolded in American history, the westward expansion. Fueled by a belief in manifest destiny, the idea that the United States was destined to stretch from coast to coast, waves of settlers pushed westward, seeking land, opportunity, and a fresh start. This westward movement, while central to the nation's growth, came at a steep price for the indigenous populations who stood in its path. The encounter between expanding American settlers and Native American tribes was often marked by conflict and displacement. Treaties were signed and broken, lands were seized, and traditional ways of life were disrupted as the frontier pushed relentlessly westward. The Trail of Tears, the forced relocation of thousands of Cherokee people from their ancestral lands in the southeast to reservations west of the Mississippi River, stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of expansion. The discovery of gold in California in 1848 further fueled the westward surge, attracting fortune seekers from across the globe. Boomtowns sprang up overnight, transforming the landscape and accelerating the pace of change. The Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869, linked the nation from coast to coast, facilitating trade, communication, and further westward migration. The westward expansion, while a testament to American ambition and ingenuity, left an indelible mark on the landscape and its people. It is a story of both progress and tragedy, of opportunity and dispossession, a story that continues to shape the relationship between the United States and its indigenous populations today. Section 6. Shaping a Nation from Civil War to Civil Rights. The issue of slavery, a festering wound at the heart of the nation, ultimately led to the cataclysmic American Civil War. From 1861 to 1865, brother fought brother, tearing the nation asunder in a bloody conflict that tested the very principles upon which it was founded. The Union victory preserved the nation and ended the barbaric practice of slavery, but the struggle for equality and civil rights for African Americans was far from over. The assassination of President Abraham Lincoln just days after the Confederate surrender cast a pall over the nation's victory. Reconstruction, the tumultuous period that followed the war, aimed to rebuild the South and integrate formerly enslaved people into society. However, this period was also marked by resistance, violence, and the rise of Jim Crow laws that enforced segregation and discrimination in the South. The struggle for civil rights continued throughout the 20th century. Led by courageous figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X, the civil rights movement challenged segregation, discrimination, and disenfranchisement. Through peaceful protests, boycotts, and acts of civil disobedience, they brought the issue of racial equality to the forefront of the national consciousness. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 marked significant victories in the fight for equality, outlawing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. While these legislative achievements represented major milestones, the struggle for racial justice and equality continues today, a reminder that the work of building a more just and equitable society is an ongoing process. Section 7. A Tapestry of Cultures, America's Enduring Story. The United States of America, a nation forged from revolution, shaped by expansion, and tested by conflict, has emerged as a global superpower and a beacon of hope for many. Its story is not a linear progression but a complex tapestry woven from the contributions, struggles, and triumphs of countless individuals from all walks of life. From its founding principles to its evolving identity, America's story is one of constant change, adaptation, and the enduring pursuit of a more perfect union. The United States has always been a nation of immigrants, a melting pot of cultures, languages, and traditions. Waves of immigration, from the Irish fleeing famine in the 19th century to refugees seeking asylum in the 21st century, have enriched the nation's cultural fabric and contributed to its vibrancy and dynamism. This diversity, while a source of strength, has also been a source of tension throughout American history, as different groups have struggled for recognition, acceptance, and their rightful place in society. As the United States navigates the complexities of the 21st century, it faces new challenges: climate change, economic inequality, political polarization, and a reckoning with its own history of racial injustice. These challenges are not insurmountable, but they require honest reflection, open dialogue, and a commitment to finding common ground. The story of America is still being written. It is a story of resilience, of innovation, and of the enduring belief in the power of ideas to change the world. It is a story that belongs to all Americans, past, present, and future, as they continue to shape the nation's destiny and strive to live up to its founding ideals.